And we're back for Dancing with Stars and The Masked Singer this week. We're going to start with Dancing with the Stars just because it is longer. We don't have a lot to say about The Masked Singer. So, anyway, getting into Britney week, because Queen. Due to taking precautions, Derek is sitting out of the show this week.
And yep, well, so with that is a note I took. So yeah, as I said at the time of recording this our podcast last week, we had already found out that Cody tested positive for COVID. So with that being said, those Cody and Cheryl both being COVID positive had to dance remotely from their homes.
Yeah.
And with that being said, Derek took precautions and sat out of this week's show.
Yeah.
So with that being said, up first we have Amanda and Al with a cha-cha.
All right. Amanda talks about being a huge Britney Spears fan, says she's a legend, and then she talks about her Broadway career and her lifestyle. Pretty simple. I didn't write a lot about her intro.
Yeah, okay. So they had Circus. That's their song was Circus.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say my blurb in full.
Len started saying he was intrigued. He thought she coped very well. He says she's always clean and clear, and he wants to get excited with more. Bruno says she has star quality and her legs are a weapon to be reckoned with, and just to give a little more with her hips. Carrie-Anne starts out saying she's stunning and says the dance was sharp, clean, elegant. And, oh, sorry. I had a FaceTime from Regan. I'll call her back. And that sharp, clean, elegant, and that she
worked on her technique and said her posture was lacking.
Yeah.
With that, I already said it. Don't worry. With that, we have 3/8 for a score of 24 out of 30. I also gave this an 8. I thought it was good. It was all right. That's that.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 as well. I thought it was really good.
All right, second up we have Iman and Daniela with a Tango to Piece of Me.
Iman is happy he improved and he wants to keep the scores moving higher, and he talks about his lifestyle growing up. And Bruno says it was nice, solid piece of tango. He appreciated that he really concentrated on getting the right moves, but says he should focus on making it smoother. And Carrie-Anne says she didn't expect that tonight, and says he really toned down his steps to match Daniela and only criticized that he was hunched back a little bit. And then Len says his feet weren't always fantastic, but they're a long way from his heart, and says he gave it his all.
All right, so Carrie-Anne gives us a 7. Len and Bruno gives us a 6 for a total of 19 out of 30. I gotta say, I also wasn't super impressed, and I gave this a 6 as well.
I was impressed. It was definitely probably their best dance so far. I obviously not great, but I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was that bad.
Their best dance was what was, I believe it was week 1, but the jive. Their jive was their best.
That was a good one too. But I gave this one a 7. I thought obviously they need to improve a little bit, but I thought it was pretty good.
Oh my god, I have a lot less time than I thought I did.
Oh no.
Third up we have Christine and Pasha with a Paso Doble to Stronger.
Christine says her heart sank when she was in the bottom 2, but she's super grateful the judges saved her. And Pasha gets emotional thinking she's going to blow it, but he helps her feel better. She says how much she loves being a mom, talks about getting married, and how her and her husband struggled with having a child, and he gets the chance to meet her son. And then Carrie-Anne says her shaping is beautiful. She has stability, she has control, and she has everything it takes to win this competition. Len was shocked she was in the bottom 2 last week and says this dance was crisp with lots of energy and it was terrific. And then Bruno says she's tough and she was in charge of the Paso Doble.
I think you meant to say last week.
Yeah.
But so with that, we have a 3 sevens for a total of 21. I also gave this a 7. It was okay. Do I think she should have been in the bottom 2? No.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly don't know who else would be there, I guess. Either way, I gave it a 7.
I actually gave it an 8. I thought it was actually pretty good. Obviously not as good as other dances this season so far, but they did a really good Paso Doble in my opinion, and I don't know, I thought like their effort was really good and everything. Like definitely a step up from the last couple weeks.
1 second,
All right.
Stop chatting.
Oh, no worries.
All right, back to the notes. Here we go. All right, fourth up, we have JoJo and Jenna with an Argentine tango to Baby One More Time.
Yes.
Also, stay tuned because I got something spicy in the notes here. I have rewatched it. I am going to confirm it.
All right. JoJo talks about her love for Britney. She connects to her in a lot of ways, such as music, movies, starting at a young age.
Hey, try to cut the judges' comments here short if you can. There's a lot here, and I'm cut on time.
Yeah. All right. She says she's being a child. She says being a child star is hard. She mentions being homeschooled growing up, and she tells Jenna about going to a theme park at a young age where people were being rude to her. And then Len thought it was well crafted. He thought it looked more like a ballroom tango, and it didn't have the ooziness that you see in an Argentine tango. And
I don't agree with that.
But says she can't make a bad performance. Bruno goes straight for the bullseye every time. He says she works the camera, but criticizes that she missed a step. Carrie-Anne says she's like liquid sunshine. She's very powerful.
I love sunshine. Chop sunshine.
Yes. And she has clarity and intention.
All right, so here comes the spicy part. The judges gives this 3 8s for a score of 24 out of 30. And here's my take on this. I gave it a 10. I gave it a 9. This got my first 10 of the season. Because watching it, I rewatched it just to verify. I saw no errors whatsoever, personally.
I mean, I might have to rewatch it, but like just from the first round watching like this episode, I gave it a 9. It's still amazing, but
yeah. All right, like I said, time. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you.
No, it's fine.
Next up, we have Kenya and Brandon with a Tango to Womanizer.
Kenya says she really identifies with Brittany because they both got their start in pageants, and
read faster.
Brandon tells her the tango will tie into some of her pageant skills, and they both mention confidence. Bruno says she was gliding on the floor beautifully, and there was poise and elegance. Carrie-Anne says it was chic and beautiful, and it was giving Supermodel vibes. She says she's so strong, refined, and elegant, but criticizes there was a little wobble. And then Len says her right arm was going in and out, and her hold was a little bit loose at times, but says she captured the flavor of the dance.
Where are
you? Kenya scores.
I gotta scroll back up. I was changing something. Okay, so here we are. The judges give 3 7s. It's a 21 out of 30. I also gave it a 7.
Yeah, I gave it a 7 as well. I thought it was good. Needs little touch-ups, improvement, but still good.
It's fine. Okay, 6 up is Brian and Sharna with a tango to Till the World Ends. Till Brian the cows come home.
Brian talks about Britney's career, says she really blew up in the 90s, like 90210. I almost said 80s there. by accident. Brian
Yeah,
talks about his 90210 career a bit. Sharna mentioned she didn't watch 90210, and she had a picture of Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys on her bedroom wall.
Throwback to season 20, 22? No, 21.
Carrie Ann says he finally arrived in the ballroom. She says it was serious dancing and she appreciated the hold, but she gave him a little note to send a little more energy to the ground. Len says his frame was overall good, but says his shoulders kept popping along. But he thought the dance was nice, but he criticized his footwork a bit. And Bruno says he needs to work on his footwork, but he enjoyed it.
That's nice. It's 7. Carrie gave it a 7. Len and Bruno gave it a 6 for a total of 19 out of 30. I also gave this a 6.
I actually agreed with Carrie Ann there and gave it a 7.
All right. I honestly just didn't enjoy it. Well, 7th up, we have Melora and Artem with a cha-cha. You drive me crazy.
Artem wants to make sure Len is happy. Melora gets emotional thinking she can't get the steps fast enough, and she gets overwhelmed. She says dancing isn't that much different from acting, but she feels more vulnerable. And Artem says she should trust the process and trust him. And then Len says his dance had far more hip action, and Bruno says a veil has been lifted and says she was in full focus for the first time, and Carrie Ann says she makes this look easy and natural, and she can add light and shade, but she's not stiff or tense.
All right, so the scores are 8-7-8 for a total of 23 out of 30. I give this a 7. I thought it was all right. Not my favorite.
I actually enjoyed it. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not my favorite, but I did enjoy it. I gave it an 8. I like her.
And 8th up, we have Mel and Gleb with a Tango Toxic. I do want to note a lot of couples wanted this, and unfortunately, Gleb got it. So there's that.
Yeah. Mel says she's always been a bit of a perfectionist and that sometimes it can be really tough. Mel and Gleb have a heart-to-heart. Yes.
I know, shut up.
Mel says she can really identify with Britney, such as being a woman in the music industry and how Britney and the Spice Girls started in the 90s. Mel says Britney represents girl power and she's going to channel her inner Britney this week. And then Bruno says...
This feels performative to me because she's also criticized Little Mix for being too provocative. So that's not very girl power, if you ask me.
I know. Bruno says she was flying high on this tango. Carrie Ann says this dance was filled with content, says the choreography was hard to learn. She's very impressed, and her lines and legs were great, but says there's something a little something that seems forced, but she said she's working on it, and says she should breathe in between. And then Len says he's liked the ending more, and it took a while to get cracking, but once she got into the dance, it was really good, and says she's
sounds about Gleb. For scores, we get 7-7-8 for a score of 22 out of 30. I gave it an 8, and I think you overscored this.
I gave this a 9 just because I actually kind of liked it. More for Mel, like Gleb. Yikes. Gleb is just kind of like a boring dancer, but I don't know. I actually enjoyed it.
It's not that he's a boring dancer. He's just a half-ass choreographer.
That's true. But I actually like this dance. It was one of the better ones that like Gleb's done, I guess.
I guess. Next is 9th up. We have Jimmy and Emma with a salsa to outrageous.
The only person Jimmy wants to impress every week is his wife, and he talks about her and his kids a little bit. He FaceTimes them with Emma, and his wife says she loves Britney and says she's her queen. Then Carrie Ann says she doesn't know what's going on with his fist. She says it distracted her the whole dance. Says it didn't look like he was strong, but it looked like he was shrinking in. And she also says 2 of the lifts were a little rough, but that he nailed the last one. Len says he liked the nice, easy action and it had rhythm. Says the steps were a little bit big, but which could have brought slightly stronger hip action, and says the last lift wasn't in character. Bruno says when he let loose, the flow was beautiful. He says the side-by-side action was absolutely on it, and says the rhythm and hips were going brilliantly.
Scores are 6, 6, and 8 for a 20 out of 30. I also gave this an 8.
I give this an 8 as well. I really enjoy Jimmy. I think he's kind of like him and Valora are kind of like underdogs in my opinion, or underrated.
All right. Well, 10th up we have Olivia and Val with a tango to hold it against me.
Val surprises Olivia with a birthday gift. Olivia is in awe of the positive comments because she wants people to like her for her. Says it's hard being vulnerable in general, and she talks about her love for Brittany.
So basically, they're victimizing her for being a fucking scammer.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Len says this dance was a proper tango. He says it was full of tact, and it's what he wants to see. Bruno says she has become a beautiful dancer, and he really enjoyed it. Carrie Ann says she's truly blossoming, says it's the best dance of the night. She said it might have missed a step in the beginning, but says it was fantastic, great, and she's graceful, elegant, strong, and passionate.
All right, so we have 3 8s for 24. I gave it a 7.
I gave it an 8. I mean, I don't love them, obviously, but as dancing wise, they're actually pretty good together.
All right, I do need to try to speed this up a little more. 11th up, we have, like I said at the beginning, Cody and Cheryl dancing jazz remotely to give me more.
Cody and Cheryl talk about how they're both tested positive, but say they're both feeling really good for COVID. But they say they're both feeling really good. They're very happy to still be in the competition. And they say they're going to be performing a little differently, live from their own homes. And Cody talks about his love for Brittany. And Bruno really admires the perseverance and the commitment, says it's very difficult to judge the sync, but says it's good effort.
We get spicy here again.
Carrie Ann says it didn't really compare and says it wasn't as great as he can be, but she's glad he finally had his Brittany moment. And then Len wasn't sure how this would work out, but he thought the dance was clear. He says he got that interchange with the hat and said they did a terrific job.
That is not at all what they said. That is not at all what they were saying. And you missed you missed a very bullshit comment.
Yeah.
About how they had to dance it fairly in comparison to the people who tested negative, which I don't think was fair. But with that being said, these two get lowballed pretty hard and score 3 6s for an 18 out of 30. And because I think their scoring system is bullshit, I gave this a 10. Because despite that, Cody is a fantastic dancer, and if we're going to compare him to the other people who danced in person, he still danced a lot better than most of the competition here.
Yeah.
And this does not belong in the bottom of the leaderboard.
No, I didn't give it a 10, but I gave it an 8 because
we gave the same fucking score.
I gave it obviously a way better score, or like,
and it's still the same as what they gave.
Oh yeah, some people are just not as good.
No shit.
And then Tyra makes an announcement that the pros will be going on tour in 2022.
All
Next
right.
person.
Just for time constraint, I wanna. This is a lot.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say the whole thing. I'll just kind of skim it.
I don't believe you. But 12th up is Suni and Sasha with a foxtrot to "I'm a Slave for You."
Suni is grateful for comments from the judges. She just talks about how the experience is like crazy because of juggling school, gymnastics, and Dancing with the Stars. But she obviously does what she can.
I have 5 minutes.
Yeah, and she's gonna channel her inner Brittany. Okay, Carrie Ann says she's pushing her boundaries, sensed a little bit of discomfort doing the more sensual moves, but performing like that, she can still be innocent, and she's looking for a little more confidence. And then there was a problem with the freeze. Len says it wasn't much for him.
Take my end of the notes.
All right. Len
just
says,
read my scores and shit if need be.
okay. Len says it wasn't much for him, and that she didn't capture the foxtrot. And then Bruno loves that she started to play with the character, and he says that she lets it go. Her performance becomes more effective. And then the scores, 3 7s for a score from the judges for a score of 21 out of 30. And then Mike and I also gave it a 7. Like, I thought it was good, not too, I wasn't like completely thrilled. Like, I thought Cody did way better. And then 13th up is Matt and Lindsay with the Tango to Scream and Shout. Matt talks about how Brittany was always on the radio growing up and that he had a poster of her in his room. He talks about growing up and talks about his mom and brother. He says his mom has been a Dancing with the Stars fan since the first season, and he FaceTimes his mom with Lindsay. Len says he got on with it and says it was a full-on routine. He criticizes there was a little incident with the footwork, but there is plenty of passion and attack. Bruno says he did a very good job and there was a lot of content. He criticizes there was a tiny incident, but it was well done. And then Carrie Ann says he did really well and she liked that there was a new refinement. And she says his posture was beautiful, but criticizes his elbow got a little bit too high of points. And then Carrie Ann and Bruno gave it a 7. Len gave it a 6 for a score of 20 out of 30. Mike gave it a 6. I actually gave it a 7. I didn't hate it. I mean, I didn't love the dance, but I didn't hate it either. Another one where I thought Cody did way better. And then the last dance is the Miz and Whitney to a salsa with the salsa to Oops, I Did It Again. The Miz is grateful for his scores from last week, but to get a 5 from Len, he needs to get better. That critique motivates him. He talks about his wrestling career a bit. He's studying everyone, so he makes sure he does everything he can to do well in the competition. He says he's a true Britney fan, but says Whitney is probably a bigger fan. Whitney says Britney is the person who made her want to dance and says his teens and 20s were Britney Spears. Bruno says when it comes to shirts, less is more. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, where's my mask?
He says, watch out Shannon Tatum because we got the magic. And then Carrie Ann says he's so fun to watch and she appreciates how much attention he brings to all the details and says the lifts were amazing, but criticizes she wanted to see more softer and relaxed Pierre. And then Len just thought it was fantastic. And then Carrie Ann and Len gave it a 7. Bruno gave it an 8 for a score of 22 out of 40. Or 30, sorry. Oh, yeah, because the notes say 40, but it was probably just a typo. And then Mike's score was a 9. I gave it an 8. I actually really like this. The Miz is like someone that we need to really watch out for.
Someone to watch.
Oh yeah, he's like, I feel like he's gonna be like a dark horse in this competition. All right, and then now results. Called safe in order: Olivia and Val, Jimmy and Emma, Melora and Artem, JoJo and Jenna, Amon and Daniela. And then it's Melanie and Gleb, Brian and Sharna, Matt and Lindsay, and Sumi and Sasha. And then it was Amanda and Alan and Cody and Cheryl. Last to be called safe was The Miz and Whitney. And then the bottom 2, Christine and Pasha again, and Kenya and Brandon. And then Carrie Ann and Len voted. Oh, sorry. Carrie Ann saved.
I'll vote for
sorry. I meant Carrie Ann and Bruno saved Kenya and Brandon, which means second couple eliminated is Christine and Pasha.
Which, bummer, but
yeah.
Again, I don't know who else it could be besides me.
Yeah, exactly. And then Len would have saved Christine and Pasha.
Yeah, oh well. Anyway, Matt Singer. All I have to say, because it was still Group A, I was right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
1, I was right. 2, I'm locking in my guess for.
I was like shook. I was saying After that episode, I thought it was.
You were wrong.
I know. I thought it was Jack Black, and then after this episode, I thought it was Peter Gallagher. So I was like shook. And then when Emily watched, she was shook too. She was like, "What?" She did not even think it was Larry the Cable Guy. But yeah, and then finishing Dancing with Stars after the elimination, the top of the leaderboard are Olivia and Belle, Amanda and Alan and Jojo Jenna with 24. At the bottom are Cody and Cheryl with 18, sadly. All right. Should we plug anything? All right. Apply for Spotlight Survivor, please. We need more apps. We're so excited to get started, and we just need some more apps. Like, come on, please apply. Follow AlleyCatXO on Twitter, AlleyCat_XO, and Mike is WonderPuff16, and I'm using Kevin's streamer today just because he's watching like a movie right now, trying to finish a movie. So I'm just using his StreamYard. But yeah, follow Kevin Falk 7. So follow AlleyCatXO, WonderPuff16, and Kevin Falk 7 on Twitter. Stay tuned for more Stay tuned for the next episode of Meeting with Maly for Disney Week, for Dancing with the Stars, and for Heroes and Villains episodes, and more Masked Singer stuff. And which Masked Singer we don't really have a ton of coverage. But it's been really fun. And then obviously stay tuned for a conversation with Kelly for Survivor and Descendants Live, and anything else we're gonna do eventually. And just please apply for Spotlight. And this has been so much fun, and I just can't wait to cover more. Obviously it was a bit rushed because Mike had stuff to do and like a bus to catch, so we had to kind of rush it, but I'm so grateful we got to finish this and got to do this before the next episode. And love y'all. Whoever watched, thank you. But if you don't watch, it's not a big deal for today. But just watch whenever you can and just support. And please, please, please apply for Spotlight.